Good afternoon and welcome to me. I'm Natalie and today I'm going to be doing a bit of planning with some drawing templates and going to be using some rubber stamps too. And so first of all I'm going to do a few hellos. So hi Tracy, long time no see, you're alive. If you do want to say hi and let me know that you're watching, we should be able to see most comments. If not, I know Linda's going to be also helping us out with comments today. And good afternoon, Carol. So, to get you started, what you need to have is a set of fine liners, any set will do, a shape template of some description, not too big, so I'm going to be using this size here for today. So we're going to keep our little doodles quite small, and then we're going to be able to use things like the scan and cut to do direct cutting, or you can fussy cut. The choice is yours. I won't be showing that too much on the stream, just so that we can stay within our slots. I'm going to be very good today, honest.
And Deb and Carol.
And hi Sally Ann, it's been a while to see Sally Ann as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So hopefully you are all well, and hopefully, fingers crossed, can you see comments from the group as well, so if you flick back to Facebook. Okay, so I'm going to start off with, I'm going to go for an 05. Now I'm using watercolour card for this one, but you can use blending card, anything that's going to take ink really well. So let's bring in our card, and as I said, we're going to be working with our medium hexagon in this case, if you happen to have this drawing guide. So this one is from Pretty Gets Gritty, and we're going to start off by starting to fill sort of like half our card with some black and white doodles. So I'm going to start off by drawing my main shape. So literally trace around your template, nice and simple. Now around the outside of this particular shape template you've got some dots. So we're going to use those to actually give us a basis for our doodle. So you can pick some dots at random, or you can be a bit more precise. So I'm going to start off nice and simply by doing each of the corner dots like so. Now if you haven't got a template where you've got dots around the outside, what you could do is just slide a bigger version of the same shape over the top, and then you can doodle.
Well, we have two streams today.
Okay, so
it's special.
Yes, today we are streaming in two places today. So at the moment we are on the Jammers group and also on my page and also on YouTube. And then when I come back later, it's just going to be on my page and YouTube. So with our dots in place, let's see if I can get you a little closer, so you can see these dots just a little better. And I'll try and avoid the glare of the glass mat. There you go. So round each of those dots we're going to do a loop. So I'm going to start at the corner point here, and I'm going to go and draw a loop around that dot. So if you think of your dot as a peg, then you're going to go round the loop and join it back to that outside point. And you're going to do the same for each of those dots. Now, if you don't get these loops perfectly symmetrical and perfectly matching, do you know what? It really doesn't matter. So just go around nice and carefully and slowly. I'm going to form these loops like we've got little bits of thread that are going to go round. Okay.
Refresh that one.
Okay, we'll see if we can get Facebook to behave. So, between these loops we're going to start to join the points. So, for this first one, I'm going to keep it nice and simple. We're going to take this curve here and this curve here, and we're going to join those two together.
Jammers, Carol's asked what jammers is. Yes, it's Lou Withers group.
Like
that right?
so. Yes, that is perfectly correct. So now we're going to follow that loop round and come back out this other side, and we're going to come down to this one here. So just literally go between the 2 points. And we're not doing nice straight lines or anything like that, just a nice gentle curve. And we're going to do the same again. So round from this point here, we're going to come over here. Okay. So we're going to do the same for the alternate loops. So, like so. Like so. And round here. And there's our first little doodle done. So now let's go for another shape. And depending on how fast you're drying your pen is, you might want to just let that sit for a couple of seconds before putting your template back on. You're also going to want to allow about a finger's width between each of your doodles, particularly if you're going to be using something like the Scan and Cut or any other electronic cutter to cut these out.
Cricket or silhouette days.
Well, I could get all fancy and go Cricket, Silhouette, Roland, take your pick. So, again, trace that centre shape. Now this time, we can go and do something a bit different with our dots. So let's pick 2 random dots from each side. And you don't have to get them perfectly matching on each side. Okay. And again, we're going to form the loops. I'm going to go opposite sides. Then rotate your work. You don't have to go too close to the dots. Okay. So now we can start to go, okay, that looks like that's going to loop over there. And this is where we're going to start to get a little bit more random. So we can actually go, okay, that looks like that loop's done, and we can go across to this one for this one. Like so. But now when we come to this side, we might go, well actually, it'd be a bit boring if we just fill that bit in there. So let's go and do this section over here instead. So this one's going to go around like that. Around like that. And now we can go, that can loop back over there. So we're going to get a bit more of an open weave. And we don't have to complete that entire circuit. So you could be doing this with a circle and doing kind of a spirograph effect if you wanted to. Okay, now.
Oh, there we go. Got some coins now.
Ah, there we go. We finally got Facebook working. So I'm going to go one to a corner and one somewhere in the middle. All the way around. Do the loops. And it is easier to do it like this in terms of making your loops first, because otherwise if you try and do it all by eye and taking it all the way across and then forming a perfect loop at the other end, it can get a little bit scrappy, a little bit messy. So by doing the loops first, we can just concentrate on forming.
Carol's asked, Is this sort of based on Zentangle? I've been on Facebook all the time.
Yeah. What it is at the moment, you see comments. We've got one set of comments that is coming through from like our usual software, isn't it? And then where the group is, it comes through to the Facebook event page. So try and see comments on there too. Zentangle's slightly different because you don't usually tend to do things like your loops around the outside, do you? You just tend to or at least I don't.
It's just a bit of a doodle, really.
Yeah, it's a bit of a doodle, and it's one of the more unusual ways to use the dots around the outside of the drawing template too. So this time I'm going to go definitely off the loops and where they're kind of pointing towards. So I'm not going to be thinking, oh, it's got to go over there to join that. Just literally where it's pointing. So for instance, this one here has gone quite straight. So I'm going to take that straight down. And that's going to look like that forms the loop right there. This one here, I'm going to take over here just because there's no other point for it to kind of attach to in that direction. And like so.
And Thea says hello.
Hello Thea. Now, the other thing is while I'm doing this is if you wanted to with your colour scheme, you don't have to stick to using just a black fine liner. You could use 2 or 3 different colours so that you're mixing it up that way. So this one I'm going to bring down here. And that one can come down there. And take that one across there.
The advantage is that there's no wrong answer, is there?
Nope, there's no wrong answer. If you want to put 3 going into one loop, that's fine too. If you want to just have one that kind of goes and tucks in somewhere else, that's fine too. Just take your time, enjoy the process. Because at the end of the day, craft should be nice and relaxing. Okay, so there's our first view. And you want to aim to fill kind of half of your card with black and white ones, so
that first one kind of looks like a turtle.
that one.
Yeah.
So we can nest our shapes. So we're saving a bit of card. Enabling us to get a few more in. Now this time I'm going to do 2 dots that are quite close together. So you don't want to go literally next to each other because otherwise you're not leaving a lot of room for your loops. And let's go over here.
Rachel says looking good.
Thank you, Rachel. There we go. So loop the loop. Okay. So now with this one, we can decide whether we want to have things that are going to kind of cross and loop over each other, or if we want to leave it so things are going a bit straighter. So let's go over here, that one's going to go to that one, and likewise this one can come over here. Now this loop round here, we can just take that and we can just tuck that into the side of our little hexagon, and we can do the same for this one here. So it's just going to tuck into that side. We're going to take this loop here and that can go down that way, and this one can come down to this one here. And again we can take the tail from that loop there, that way, and the tail from loop that, and like that. So you don't have to do these perfectly symmetrical round versions. So here's some I did earlier. So I've cut these out. I use the scan and cut, but if you want to just cut them out with scissors and just allow a little bit of white border around. So if I just move those there.
Zoom back in a little bit.
Yeah, just so we can see those a little bit better. There we go. Up, 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 back, back. There we go. So you can see those on the black. So next, what we're doing with the other half of the card, we can turn that card round. And this time we're going to still use our same template. Now, before you go too much further, just grab yourself a piece of kitchen towel and a little bit of water and just wipe your stencil round. So if you're working with a drawing template, chances are it's a little bit thicker, and if you've done it correctly, you kind of have that shallower edge or the narrow edge upright, so it's not sitting against your paper or against your nib. But when you're working with a stencil, because it's that much lower, chances are it's going to come into contact with your ink, and if you're going to be using some nice bright colours, the last thing you want is to be smudging black ink in. So next we need to have some little finger blenders. So I'm just using these ones, which are like little brushes, and I think those of you on the Jammers page, if you are used to using Lou's Amazon storefront, I believe they're on there. So I'm going to start off with Scattered Straw, which is a nice yellow colour. I'm going to pop my little finger blender on, give it a good rotation. Now, I'm working on to quite absorbent watercolour cards, so you're going to notice that it's not going to blend smoothly. That's not to say that there's something wrong with the card, it's just the nature of the beast. So
Stacey says sorry, she's late.
Oh, no worries, Stacey. We don't have a register to make sure that everybody's on time. That's not what the naughty step is for. Okay, so you want to kind of build up the colour, and because of the card that I'm working on, I'm going to get like almost like a brushstroke texture to it. So it's going to look quite watercoloury and cool.
Rachel says they remind me of Kokodama.
Ooh, I'll have to look that one up. Is that like you know, you can get like the boards with the notches around the outside. Kumahimo, is it? Something like that, where you have your threads and you can move them along. That's kind of what I was thinking. Okay, so there's our first colour. So you're going to notice I'm going to work from light to dark. So start with your lighter colour first. And if you've still got your little bit of kitchen towel to hand, just give it a quick wipe around so that you're not accidentally contaminating your brushes or your inks. Okay, so next I'm going to go for the salt taffy, and let's nest that in there. Now you're going to be wanting to do sort of 2 or 3 of each of these colours, but I'm aware of time, so hence I was really good and I did all my prep yesterday. Now that is really rare for me. I'll be honest, so I'm not usually the best at being prepared, am I? I'd much rather wing it. Okay.
Natalie thinking you were just winging it, didn't you?
No, I was fully prepared actually. Hence I got bits that I cut out. I've got a background half done. Okay, So now we're going to go to Salvage Patina. And let's come back up there.
So you're using ink or oxides?
These are all inks. That's part of the reason why you get that really nice texture on this card, is because we're using the inks rather than the oxides. I've got the oxides there for if we want to do any colour stamping. Okay. So you can see when we're inking, it's going to pick up some of the detail of the border around the outside. But don't worry too much about that, because by the time that we've done all of our, either our doodling over the top, or if we're doing stamping over the top, you're going to cover a lot of that anyway. So if we go back to my pre-cut pieces, I have some that are literally just that hexagon. So to get it to scan properly, you're going to want to draw around your stencil. But you'll want to do that after you've done your inking. If you do the drawing round first, what you can find is that ink will then smudge, which we don't want. We've got some that are actually stamped onto. And then we have some that we've doodled onto as well. So you can see a few more doodling ideas. So where we've literally gone point to point. Then where we've done our two triangles like I showed you at the beginning. And then we've got this one, which is more like a kind of corset idea. So let's do one of each. So I'm going to use the dots that I've inked through to kind of inform where my doodle is going to go. So I can still do my loops in exactly the same way. So we can go around, and I'm going to do this in black on this one so that you can see it nice and clearly, but if you want to do it in a matching colour, that's fine too. And let's do another one there.
Move the camera back down. Go back to the other one so you can see.
Yeah, thanks. There we go. And we can see that we've got a nice clear dot there. Around we go. So you can see that you're going to be much more random this time. Okay, and we can join that up. Now, this time, because we've got that kind of loop going there, what we don't want to do is finish off that triangle, because we kind of want it to be a bit more random than that. So let's go across there. This one's going to go up here, and that one can go down to that point. This loop here can go across there. And this one can come up to here. Okay.
Listen to this.
Go, hey! Okay. So, the other one, nice and easy, is that we're going to, once our ink's dried a bit, you can then go and do drawing around the outside for the yellow. So it's important, particularly with lighter colours, if you're going to use something like the scan and cut, to just give that a defined edge that you can see nice and easily, so that when you do things like offset, you're going to get a proper shape rather than something that looks a bit wavy and straggly. Okay, and for this last one, we'll just clean my stencil just in case, because
Marcy's just changed it. Against the inserts, is it?
Don't worry about it. So I'm going to pop my stencil on top. Now this is where we can start to do a bit of stamping. So bring in a stamp platform or your stamping block and select a stamp. So I'm going to go for this one, and this is from Chocolate Rock. Nice grey rubber stamp to play with, and I want to kind of pull out an area of text. So given the size, I think if we go with this section here, and let's use a good strong black ink for this one. So I'm going to go in with a Memento.
Do we have a link for it? Bear with me.
I was going to say, you can certainly get one. So I'm going to aim to put that section of the stamp in that hole. Now, if you don't get it spot on, don't worry. It's mainly there for texture, but we're going to try our best. So we're going to place our stamp down. Then you want to use a really firm pressure, because basically you're going to be sitting over the top of that stencil. So normally we're masking, what we say is you want it to be slightly away from where you want that crisp edge to be. But because we're going through a stencil, we don't have the option. Yep, that's the one. And let's see how we did. There we go. So you can see just there where we've got a little bit of a gap, but that's fine. We can always use a fine iron to fill that in.
So that's the link for the stencils that Natalie's using.
If you want to pop up a link for the stamp too.
Do you know what the stamp's called?
It is Bird of Joy.
Okay.
Benefit of having labels. I've had a bit of a cataloguing, what's the word I'm looking for, Ian?
Sorting.
Yeah. So. With that done, I'm just going to put the stamp away temporarily, in case we need it later.
That's for the stamp.
Now, I'm going to just make myself a couple of masks. So I have some masking paper here, and this is where you have like a adhesive. Can't see if that's on screen or not yet. Let me zoom back out, and there we go.
No.
So you've got an adhesive backing where we can stamp onto it. Or in this case, we're going to draw. So I'm just going to make myself just a few hexagons. And this is where I'm going to be able to cut the masks. So we're just literally going to draw and try and keep them as close together as possible, because we're going to be cutting these up by hand anyway. And I'm just going to go for 3 of them for now. That's a jolly good question where the masking paper's from. I would say Mom's stash, but okay, so we're going to cut these out. Now, when you're cutting out masks, I'm going to do this really quickly for you. what you want to do is, given that this line is where we would normally draw with our stencil, we're going to take our cut line inside. So this means that when we stamp over the top, we're not going to get a white halo around our outline. So we always go to the inside of our line, and that's the same whether we're, you know, stamping and then cutting out a mask, if we're using a stencil. So there's the first one. And the fun bit of these is when you come to try and get the backing off. And if you don't get these absolutely perfectly straight, don't worry, because masks are really forgiving. There we go. One more done, and one last one. And the reason for the mask will become apparent very soon. Okay, that should be enough for us to be able to see what we want to. And move the rest of the masking paper to one side. Now, as I was really good and organised this time, I have half a background done already, so let's just zoom that out a minute. Okay, that's gone a bit darker, isn't it? Okay. So, this half I'm going to do like a scrapbook page, and this half I'm going to do like a planner page. So I've already stamped my image using the oxide inks. So the background is blended with the inks first, so the distress inks. Then I used the same colour but in the oxides to stamp with. I then did a spatter with like a silver spray, so it's this one, Whom Glows Glitz Spray. It's like, dread to think how old. Dread to think how old it is. So whether you can still get it, it's one of those ones that you have in your stash and you just keep topping it up and topping it up. So I dread to think. But it does give it a lovely shimmer, and you're going to have like these little lovely reflective dots. You can also do a few dots with some water as well. That's going to lift the colour up without having that sparkle in it. So that's going to kind of be my background. So it's not about necessarily having the whole image visible by the time I finish. But then I'm going to start with my planner page first. And let's grab my stencil, and again I'm just going to give that a wipe, because we've still got a little bit less stamping on there and we don't want to accidentally smudge it or get it on my fingers. I'm very good at, if there's an opportunity to put my hand in something, you can guarantee I will.
Stacey says that's the way you've done this image very different.
Thank you. The thing is to me it's just play, isn't it? It's all about play. So don't get hung up on being inspired or being in the mood. Just play. See what turns out. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You do it and you think, oh, I don't like that. Well, just stop and do something else. Or chances are, if you keep working on it, you'll pull it back in eventually into something you like. So I'm just going to use my template and try and keep it upright. And I'm aiming to get in 7 little hexagons. Now you can go off the edge if you want to. Which is good, particularly good if you want to do things like a title. Like that. You don't necessarily have to follow a particular pattern, so if you want to go, okay, I'm going to do like a half drop there, that's fine too. We can be random. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try and get another 3 in. What? What's up? Is it misbehaving?
Our stream chat doesn't seem to have moved since Linda asked Tracy how she was.
Trouble is, if it's replies, it doesn't come through, which is a little bit annoying. Okay.
Shall I try and refresh it and see if it updates?
Yeah. So we could go and put the month in here. We could go and put the week number in here if that's something that might help you. So I'm just going to go and put May. Okay. And we can go and put Monday. We could put Tuesday over here. Put Wednesday in the middle. And put Thursday over here. And let's put Friday this way. Saturday this way. And let's go Sunday down here.
Marcia says she got some masking sheets from Pink Frog, but several companies sell it. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
lots of.
Or if you've got like the rolled, you can use that too. Okay, so with that done, what I would say is if you give it a little extra time, it's going to be less risk of smudging. But I'm going to start off by applying these to like the bottom half. And we can stamp over the top. You can stencil over the top if you wish. So let's go and do this bottom section first. So the reason I do that little bit of writing first is so that it's going to be nice and easy for me to see where my masking film is to where it opposed to where it isn't. So if you've got all of these masked off, you don't have to do that writing first if you don't want to. And one last one. It's one of those things where you want your nails. There we go. And you can reuse these as well. So keep your backing pieces so that you can pop those back on. Right, now we've got our bird that's on the background opposite, but we can take elements from that stamp and actually work into it.
What is that?
Stamp platform. And it's probably staring at me going, there we go. Told you. So I'm thinking it'd be quite nice to put the bird kind of coming in this way first of all. So there, I think. just there. Give it a good press down, because again we're trying to go over the top of that masking paper. Now even though this one's not too thick, you still want to make sure you don't get too much of a halo. So you could use things like sticky notes. Are quite helpful for when you want to do shapes like this.
Very low tack tape.
Yep.
Maybe if you had some plain washi from all the create, and then you could use that as a new pattern.
Yep, yep. Look at you. So once you've done that first bit of stamping, we can take that backing and let's apply that up here. There we go. And apply that one to our little header bit here. And for this last one, I'm just going to move and go over here. Now you can either go for the same stamp again, or if you have a stamp that has similar content or similar style, you can swap to that one. So I'm going to swap to this one. So this is called Wish Flower.
Wish flower.
Wish Flower.
Wish flower.
Wish. So always bear in mind that your stamp is going to be reversed. So I want to avoid stamping anything over here too much if I can help it. So I'm just going to offer up my stamp first of all, see which areas I want to definitely avoid getting ink on.
Yeah, it's coming to read.
And let's try that.
Just
Made. My masking sheets are from Hunky Dory. I think it's like a 3. I've got about half of one sheet left, needing to get more. Oh yes. So it's kind of a staple to have the blending paper of some description or tape. I've just moved that one just because I can more easily avoid this one up here actually. So I'm going to go with that there, I think.
So she's loving the stamps with the image and some text.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous collection. There's about 3 or 4 different ones that have text like this. So let's have a look, see where my base is. So I'm going to stamp it so that my stem is just about touching this hexagon down here.
Yeah, they are chocolate baroque stamps.
Yep. I'm lucky enough to be on the DT, so I get to play with lots, don't I? Spoiled. Okay. Fingers crossed. That's not bad. So now we can pick away our blending. Now, just because these are starting to get a little bit inky, I'm just going to use my hook tool. Try and avoid getting too much ink on me. I'm just going to set them to one side and just let them dry off just a little before I try and put the backing on them, because otherwise I'm going to get very inky fingers. Now, if you wanted to then go over the top with your distress inks, then what I would say is cut yourself some clean masking. Just because if there's anything that's slightly black, you run that risk of picking it up and transferring it and smudging it. So that's one thought for you. Another thought might be that instead of doing that stamping I would just done in black, you could do that in your colours and pull it in that way. I'm just going to blot off the ink so I don't put my elbow in it or anything daft. Okay. So how are we doing? We're nearly there. So now with our two pieces here, we can start to actually include our original elements. So we have some coloured ones, so we can bring our colours into this side. And let's pop that one down there. And we've got this nice green one. So if you wanted to, you could overlay that over there, or we can take that off an edge. And sometimes it's good to take elements actually off the edge of the page, like so. Could be that you could use that as a tab, it could be that you just want to cut it off and you're finished. Take your pick.
Linda says they use the wish stamp a lot, so for versatile.
Yes.
Put your teeth back in.
So, with this image over here, we can go, okay, let's think where we want our hexagon to go. So I'm going to pop one over this side. Put one there. And because we want to work in an odd number, ideally, let's pop that one up there. And again, we could put that so it goes off that top edge.
Yeah, that's fine, isn't it, Stacey?
I look forward to seeing what you make. So do share. It's lovely to see when the makes go up in the group. And have fun. That's the most important thing. Have fun. So I'm just going to pop these last couple so that the colours are contrasting. And just because we've got colour down there, I'm just going to move that one so that I can swap that for a colour up there so that we kind of got a flow through. And then, I think I might literally put that one up in that top corner, like so. And I've actually got time to stick it down as well.
You want to just move your camera up a little bit because you're missing a bit of it.
There we go. So if I just move that back there. There we go. Up a little bit. Camera, there we go. Ta-da! So while I'm sticking, do you have any last questions about supplies or anything else that I've done? Now's a good time. And I'm just going to, for speed, use some double-sided. But if we were doing this normally like Crawford, what I would say is go for something that is like bookbinding glue, something with a low water content, just so that you don't get too much wrinkling going on. Because we want to keep our pages for our journals quite flat in terms of our planners. Okay, and I'm going to pop that one just there. Give that a little press down.
Stacey said there are so many talented people who are in this group. Love it.
Yeah, it's a fab group to be in.
And Thea says, enjoyed watching this as I don't stamp much anymore, thank you. Measure she doesn't do planning, but this would be great for birthday books.
Yep, definitely. So this could just as easily be like a scrapbook. So if you're recording the week that was rather than the week that's going to be, then you could be putting in photos that you've actually cut out to the same shape. And just remember that you also need to punch your holes to put it into your binder. So whether that's a disc system like your Happy Planners or your Arc system, it could be that you've got an A5 binder, although I find those quite hard to find these days. You pop it in there. So the pieces that I'm working on are actually 6x8. They're blending card, so hence we can do the nice blended backgrounds over here. And let's go that way. No, that way. I used to be indecisive. Okay, and we're nearly done. So what types of projects would you like to see in the future? Come on. There we go. Naughty double-sided tape. Okay. So this one's a bit more haphazard over here, so let's go and pop that there.
Marcia said, Marcia said, more layout ideas, please.
Okay, cool. Cool. I quite like to do things like scrapbook sketches and things like that as a challenge. It's quite cool. Okay, so I'm going to go that way and maybe just up very slightly, and I can trim that after. Yep, it's a really good way of using your stencils differently. I was reading a magazine the other day, and it was saying how very rarely that we now use stencils the way that they were actually intended to be used originally when they were invented, where we actually draw around them. So it's a good opportunity to get a different look with those stencils that we have hiding in our stash. So I'm going to bring that one around about there. And we're nearly done. So we have a bit of a computer string going on tonight on our page. Which is going to be all about working with text. So if you kind of get into your digital side of crafting, you might like that one, because I tend to straddle both, don't I? Between the traditional and the digital. And last one, and then we can do the trimming, and you can see how it's going to look when it's all done. Okay. And that one can go down here. And again, I'm going to take that one off the page. Let's trim off the excess. Okay, so there's one.
So the squiggly star bit's hand created, isn't it? 'Cause that's with the...
Yeah, so that's just created with the drawing guides and our little loop and drawing the loops. So if you want to go back to the beginning, you'll see how I did those. But it's literally, if I go back to this one, we did our dots from around the outside of our drawing template, so you can see we've got the dots around the edge here. We did our loops around each of the dots that we did that we transferred across, and then basically just follow the curve of the loop as to where different strands are going to go. And I hope you've enjoyed that. Let me know if you have any questions. You can always reach out to me. I think I'm pretty much attached to Facebook. Until there's a better platform.
You should have shares, you mean?
Yeah. So, do take care, have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.